Right now, Weather Nation, it's July 6th, 2022. We're more than halfway through the year and we're covering severe storms across the country. Look at this from Washington, West Virginia, slow-mo of lightning. You see how that just dances and treks across the sky.
I love seeing crawler lightning like this. It's always cool to just see how it just finds where that energy is and follows that path of electricity. It's just, lightning's my favorite thing, Steve.
It is, yeah, unless you're outside. Boy, I lived in South Florida, kid, for a bit, and I always appreciated thunderstorms, but I was in the West Palm Beach area, which was lovely, but they get some intense lightning and thunder, and that's when I really even gained more of an appreciation for how strong it was and how fast it hits, and I would just head inside. The thunder would rattle the dishes in the cabinet. Yeah. I mean, it was that loud and fierce. And
I spent some times in the Central Plains in Nebraska, and some nights where you just have that constant lightning. We call it continuous lightning, where you just see just the strobe light. It looks like a party, but I always thought it was just so cool. You could see like shadows from how bright the flash was.
That is wild. As long as it's far away, I mean, I just sit on that porch with a rocking chair, watch that distant lightning. Man, that's one of my favorite summer activities.
Oh yeah, sometimes referred to as heat lightning, but it's actually just thunder that you can't hear, that lightning out there. But we've got a lot of lightning with some of these thunderstorms that are ongoing right now, so let's get you out to Viper radars. We have places into Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, even into the Carolinas, a few thunderstorms rolling right now. So let's zoom in right here across the Ohio to mid-Atlantic states where we've got some of these thunderstorms ongoing. So we'll take you to North Carolina first, as we see around Catawba County into Burke County right now. Severe thunderstorm warning for the Hickory area, just outside of Newton's. This is I-40 and Highway 321 right there at the convergence of those two. So you're looking at some pretty strong winds around Catawba County. You could see some damage from that as well. So you want to take shelter indoors. If you're out ahead of this storm down into Lincoln County, it is moving towards that area. So maybe take down those hanging plants, bring in that light lawn furniture, because that could get blown around and could get damaged a little bit as well. Into eastern parts of Tennessee, getting up into the foothills here, we've got a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings into Union, Granger, Jefferson, and Knox County, as well as into Calaborn County there in eastern Tennessee and western Virginia into Wise County there. Severe thunderstorm warning for you. I want to take you up to parts of Cincinnati, though, around the area of Kentucky, Ohio. A couple of severe thunderstorm warnings here from Wilmington. That's actually where we've got the local radar site. Let's clear off the lightning, get a better picture, and I actually want to take you to some of the lower returns on the radar site so we can see a cool little feature here. So let's just loop this over the last 30 minutes or so here. Notice right there between Mount Orab and Hillsborough, moving south, there's that little bitty line that we call an outflow boundary. So right here, you see that little line there? That's actually going to help enhance some of these thunderstorms. And whenever we see that, we want to be mindful that it could also introduce a different direction of the wind than what these storms are seeing. And whenever you get that, sometimes you can get a little bit of spin in there. So we want to be mindful of that. Let's check out the velocities. Don't look, might see just a little bit of some broad rotation, just very weak right there, south of the Loveland area. I'm looking right in here. Let's get the proper tool for you. Right in there, we're getting winds going away from and towards the radar there in Wilmington. So that's some broad rotation. We'll keep an eye on that in case we have anything else that strengthens and could possibly produce a tornado. But the main threat right now is just the high winds. We've seen winds gusting upwards of 58 miles per hour, which is severe threshold. And of course, earlier we saw pictures out of Cincinnati of very strong winds rolling into the downtown area. Also around the Parkersburg, West Virginia area, a line of some thunderstorms moving into the I-77 corridor. So you want to be inside. It's not necessarily severe at this point, but could still be pretty strong. Where we did see severe yesterday in Bowie, Maryland, a tornado actually did roll through this area, Steve. Well, we were just mentioning this at the top of the hour that there might be a tornado that could form around this part of southwestern Ohio, and lo and behold, here we have a tornado warning. This is for parts of, let's see here, Claremont County, Ohio, and into Brown County, Ohio, until 3:30 p.m. We were mentioning just a small area of rotation that could eventually become a tornado, and it looks like we have seen, the National Weather Service has seen enough to issue that warning. And I'm going to tell you, it looks very healthy right now. Looking around the Goshen area, just west of Silo, and it looks like we've just gotten confirmation, Steve, of this warning. It's just got that pink border on it. So this is a confirmed tornado on the ground here outside of the Goshen area. Just rewinding the radar here over the last few minutes. Look at what I was showing you just a little bit ago. This area right here and a little bit right there, a couple of areas of some weak, broad rotation. As we go forward over the following few minutes, we see it begins to tighten up in a couple of areas, and then we start to see this. Right when that tornado warning was issued, this is an area of very strong rotation. So I'll clear that off, and let's really zoom in on this. I want to take a sample of some of those winds. This pixel right here is showing 46 miles per hour. That's showing inbound 70 miles per hour. So very strong, upwards of 100 mile per hour winds rotating within this thunderstorm. So that means that we see some very strong rotation that could translate down to the surface as a tornado. That's continued down to this area. Let's see if it looks a bit better. Sometimes the radar can sort of subtract out the storm motion. So we look at what's called storm relative velocity here. So that's what this is here. And it shows just that very isolated pocket of broad rotation. Now the thing is, this is about only 1,000 feet up into the atmosphere. So it's a fairly low level rotation that can easily translate down to the surface. But notice it's not the only spot of some rotation within this thunderstorm. There's a couple other small vortices that we call them within this. But right now, this is just to the north of the Newtonsville area, Fayetteville as well. I'm going to get some information from the National Weather Service on this as right now. They say a confirmed tornado was located just out 8 miles southeast of Loveland, and it's moving southeast at 35 miles per hour. So let's zoom out and we'll get a track on this. Right where we see that rotation moving southeast at about 35 miles per hour. So we see places like Modus, looking about 2 minutes of lead time for you from where the latest scan was. The thing is, that's an old scan. It's about a couple minutes old now, so it might be in your area right now. Eventually Woodland Park, Newtonsville within the next few minutes. Laredo, you're looking about 5 to 10 minutes of lead time for this. So you have plenty of time to open up your Weather Nation app, watch us live, and be in your safe place, because sometimes if you're in front of the TV, that's not going to be where your tornado shelter is. So you want to bring your phone with us so you can stay with us and keep updated on that information. A little bit down the line here into Fayetteville, you're looking at about 15 minutes of lead time or so. Same thing for Kirbyville and Stringtown. Marathon, you're about 10 minutes of lead time. Veracruz, 10 to 15 minutes. So keep that in mind, where you will see this continue to progress. Whenever we see these lines of thunderstorms, usually they spin up very quickly, and that leads us to seeing that potential for tornadoes to really continue. But look right here, like I was mentioning earlier, we've got this outflow boundary that's helping to focus some of the energy into this thunderstorm here. So that's helping with that inflow, keeping things rotating. And again, this is a line of some pretty strong thunderstorms, severe thunderstorm warnings along this line as well, where we could see upwards of 60 mile per hour winds. I'm going to gather some more information, but I want to bring in meteorologist Steve Glazier to get us more on the forecast around this region of the country.
And Kid, I was also looking at the debris tracker. It's also known as the correlation coefficient. It did show that too, so that the confirmation on the radar of that tornado into the Ohio and to the Ohio River Valley locations. We'll get back to Kid here in just a second. Want to update you on a new severe thunderstorm watch. It's been extended down to the south. So that's the severe weather forecast, but if you're just joining us, we've had a confirmed tornado. Meteorologist Kit Cloninger is on.
Thank you, Steve. So what we're looking at right now is this thunderstorm where you've got some of the inflow, the outflow. Right there is where we see that broad area of rotation. It has broadened. That's some good news. You can see right where we had that little curve, but also Steve mentioned in the correlation coefficient, this is sort of the debris tracker. It's comparing sizes of particles that is returning the signal to the radar. So you're getting leaves, dirt, maybe some pebbles, maybe some shingles from houses, of course. So earlier around the Goshen area, we saw a very low drop where we see those blue colors. That's very low correlation, and that's moved into the Woodland Park area down to Moore's Fork. A confirmed tornado warning continues. Fayetteville, you are downstream from this. Be sure you are taking shelter the lowest level of your room, the most interior room of your house. Well, moments ago, outside of the Cincinnati metro, we had a confirmed tornado around the Goshen, Ohio area. That's between Sycamore and Mount Orab there. Of course, it has started to evolve and change its nature, what it looks like on radar presentation. You can see it's got a very clear hook shape to it. That's the sort of the signature that we look at for rotating thunderstorms. It starts to pull in the rain around that rotating portion of the thunderstorm, and that's what gives us this hook echo as what it's called. So what I'm looking at right here, if you're unfamiliar with radar signatures, right in there, how we sort of see that almost that nautilus shell spiral into that. That's where we're seeing the region of the rotating part of the thunderstorm. Notice how right where I drew that little curly Q, that's where we've got winds which are going away from the radar and towards the radar. Right here in Wilmington is where we've got the National Weather Service's radar site in southwestern Ohio. So let's take a look a little bit closer in here over the last little bit. Remember, I said Goshen is where we probably had that tornado go through earlier. This is a very strong signature. We'll get some of the queries of these pixels here. 59 miles per hour there, 58 miles per hour there. So that's nearly 120 miles per hour across a very short distance. These pixels are well less than a mile across. So that's some very strong rotation, likely where we saw that tornado down. And that's where we first see debris on radar, right here where we've got this little pocket of yellow. If we advance this one scan, we get a pocket of blue here, and that's where we're seeing very low correlation. Correlation being the correlation between particle sizes. Here where we've got all of this burgundy color, that's all rain, where raindrops are very consistent in size. The radar, looking in vertical and horizontal, can actually measure the size of these droplets, and it's all about the same. So we give that a coefficient of 1 when you divide it. It's some math there. Basically, it's not debris. But whenever we get debris, that's where we're seeing shingles, leaves, twigs, maybe pebbles. With strong tornadoes, maybe pieces of 2x4, that's where we start to see that low correlation, and that's where we've got a tornado possible. So we confirmed the tornado on radar, and it's looking like we've got a new pocket of concentrated debris there. I want to take you back to the velocity here. And let's look at these here. So it looks like it might have re-strengthened in the last little bit. So it was fairly broad rotation there when it was north of the Newtonsville area, now north of Laredo into the Fayetteville area. We'll clear off some of these lines on there. It looks like it might be wrapping up again. So we saw an extension of a severe thunderstorm warning out into the Hillsborough area and Mount Orab. So that's Highland County, Brown County, and Adams County here in southwest southern Ohio. Just north of the Ohio River Valley. It's just a tornado possible within that severe thunderstorm warning right now, but we could see that re-strengthen. I'm going to gather some more information as we send things back over to meteorologist Steve Glazier with a view of a tornado out of Iowa yesterday.
If you're just joining us, we've had a confirmed tornado in Ohio. I'm going to get over to Kit with the latest.
Thank you, Steve. So we're looking at the broad view here of this line of very strong thunderstorms, winds up to 70 miles per hour possible with that confirmed tornado that moved through the Goshen area just earlier. Now it's moving through Fayetteville. So that's around the Highway 50 and Highway 68 corridors. You see those in the dashed lines there. That's what we're looking at right now. Currently on dual pole radar, we're not seeing as much of a velocity signature, so it might be weakening, but tornado warning still active until 3:30. We'll bring you more details as we have them.